Hello everyone, so let us check out the solutions to class 6 biology annual exam. Okay, now first and foremost let us take up section A over here. So we have MCQs. So the function of villi is, you know where they are found in the intestines. So the function of the villi is to increase the area for absorption of digested food. So option D is correct, right? The enzyme present in saliva is option A, ptyalin. Now third question, it prevents the food from entering the windpipe during swallowing. So the correct answer is epiglottis. Over here we have the answer is ptyalin, and to increase the area for absorption of digested food. The function of larynx is, what is the function of larynx? It produces sound. It is also known as the sound box, right? The heartbeat is measured by an instrument called stethoscope. The heart muscles are also called as cardiac muscles. Choose the odd one out from the following plants: pine, fir, opuntia, juniper. Opuntia is the odd one out. Why? Because it is a xerophyte. All the rest are mountain trees. So they are found in cool climate, whereas opuntia is found in deserts. What type of roots is present in dodder or cuscuta? You know, it is a parasite. So parasites, they have special roots which are called as haustoria. Which type of cells contains hemoglobin? RBC, the red blood cells, and it's the hemoglobin which gives it the red color. Name the digestive juice secreted in the stomach. Gastric juice. Fill in the blanks. Food is digested by the chemicals called as enzymes. Dash is a physical process in which exchange of gases takes place. Breathing. Dash is the liquid part of the blood. Plasma. Dash animals live on trees. Arboreal. The place where an organism lives is called its habitat, right? Now let us move on to name the following. So let us check this out. Let's shift this a little bit. Hollow bones with air cavities found in aerial animals. What are they called as? So these bones, they are called as pneumatic bones. Double layered membrane that surrounds the heart, pericardium. The volume of air that moves in or goes out in a single breath, tidal volume. The organ that stores the bile juice, gallbladder. The process by which complex food is broken down into simpler absorbable form, digestion. Okay. Now rewrite the sentence by correcting the underlined words. The process by which an organism obtains and uses food is known as nutrition, right? Trachea is surrounded by cartilage to prevent it from collapsing. Septum allows, अच्छा यहाँ food नहीं होगा, यहाँ पर होगा blood. So septum allows the blood to flow in one direction, right? So it will actually be valves. So valves let the blood flow in one direction. Buttercup is an example of a submerged aquatic plant. No, it is a fixed aquatic plant. Insulin is secreted by not adrenal glands but pancreas, right? Now let us take up the various definitions. So if you look at the definition, let us shift this board over here. Assimilation. What do we mean by assimilation? The process by which the absorbed food is utilized by living cells and is used by the body for its growth and other purposes. So the food which is digested, so it needs to be absorbed. The absorbed food needs to be used up so that it is burnt to give us energy, right? So that is assimilation. when it becomes a part of our body. Aerobic respiration. Respiration that takes place in the presence of oxygen is called as aerobic respiration. What is peristalsis? Peristalsis is wave-like movement of the walls of esophagus which helps the food to be pushed forward so that it can reach the stomach. What are antibodies? Antibodies are proteins which are present in the plasma of the blood and are produced in response to foreign substances. What are these foreign substances? Antigens, right? These antigens, when they are introduced in our body, then antibodies are produced to fight against them. So they destroy antigens and protect our body. So even if you don't write this line, you can just write proteins which are present. These are proteins which are present in the plasma of our blood or in our blood, and they are produced as to fight against antigens. Even if you write it this way, it's perfectly fine. Adaptation. What is adaptation? The features which enable the living organisms to live and survive in their surroundings is called as adaptation. So, how well they are able to live in their surroundings, that is adaptation. Now, let us talk about the functions, right? So, this question was about what are the functions, state one function of each of the following. So, we take up the functions of these. WBC. What is the function of WBC? It destroys the germs and helps in fighting infections. ये तो हमारे soldiers ही होते हैं ना, so they destroy the germs. Pharynx. It serves as the common passage both for air and for food. Tongue. You can write any of these functions. It helps us to speak. It helps us to taste food because it has taste bud. It helps us in mixing the chewed food with saliva, and it also helps us in swallowing the food. So either of these functions is okay. Gills. What is the function of gills? Gills help the fishes to breathe in. What do they breathe in? The dissolved oxygen in water, right? So the gills help them to breathe in that oxygen which is dissolved in water, because fishes live in water, so they get their oxygen from water. What is the function of large intestine? It helps in absorbing water from the undigested food. So after small intestine, the large intestine, before the waste is thrown out of our body, the extra water is absorbed. Right. Now let us come to the difference. Differentiate between the following. So let us take up the difference. Inspired air and expired air. So inspired air has, now the points were also given. If you check out the question, you can see that the reference is also given. On these points we are supposed to differentiate, right? Percentage of oxygen present. So inspired air has 21% oxygen, expired air has 16.4% oxygen. So any other difference you write, that is not going to count, because it's specifically mentioned based on the terms given in brackets, right? Auricle and ventricle function. So auricles, they receive blood from all the parts of the body. Ventricles, they pump blood out of the heart to all the parts of the body. Okay. Premolars and molars, numbers present in each jaw. So how many premolars and how many molars are present in each jaw? So we are talking about premolars. 4 premolars are present in each jaw and 6 molars are present in each jaw. So both the sides we are talking about. Leaves of cactus and leaves of floating aquatic plants. So their shapes. So you have to differentiate between them based on their shape. So leaves of cactus, they are modified into spines, कांटे जैसे बन जाते, whereas leaves of floating aquatic plants, they are large and circular. So that is the basis on which you differentiate. Pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. So definition is there. What is pulmonary circulation and what is systemic circulation? Pulmonary circulation. See, remember, pulmonary, wherever the term pulmonary comes, let let me use a different colored pen. Wherever the term pulmonary comes, remember that it has to do with lungs, right? So circulation between heart and lungs is called as pulmonary circulation. Systemic circulation, the circulation of blood between heart and body organs except lungs. So when the blood circulates between heart and other body organs except the lungs, so that is called as systemic circulation. And you remember, that is why we have a double circulation of blood in our body. Okay, now let us move on to the next part. Write two differences between combustion and respiration. Let me see, where did I think I put it over here. Combustion and respiration. Oh, no. Oh, sorry, I missed out on this question. Respiratory system in human beings. Okay. State one function of trachea. All right, over here we have this. Okay. So you can see the respiratory system is given over here. State one function of trachea. So trachea allows the air to pass into and out of lungs, right? So it allows the pass in lungs and out of lungs. So that is the passage of air, trachea. One function you had to give. You can also write the inner lining of trachea. It has cilia present on it, which are like hair-like structures. They help in removing or expelling the germs and dust particles from entering the lungs. So there are two functions. It says state one function, so you can mention either of them. What is the position of ribs during inhalation and exhalation? So during inhalation, the ribs move outward and upward, right? So what is the position of the ribs? They are moving outward and upward. So the ribs, they move outwards and upwards. During exhalation, it's just the opposite, and the ribs move inward and downward. So that is the difference. In anaerobic respiration, I'm again shifting. What is the role of hair and mucus present in the nose? So hairs present in the nose help in trapping the germs and dust so that it does not reach the lungs, which may have entered during inhalation. So when you are inhaling, some germs, some dust might get in, and these hair inside the nose, they help to trap them so that clean air enters the lungs. Mucus warms and moistens the air entering the body, so that dry air is not entering our body. It is warm and moist so that it can move through the body easily. It can move through the respiratory tract easily. Name two respiratory diseases. So they have to be related to respiration. So you can mention any of them. Asthma, bronchitis, TB, pneumonia, either of these. You just need to mention two of them. Write two differences between combustion and respiration. Let us take this up now. Shift this up a little bit. Write two differences. So the questions are on the right side, and I have written the answers on the left side. Two differences between combustion and respiration. So I have given four differences over here as mentioned in your textbook, and you can mention any two of them. It is a fast process and occurs in non-living things, whereas it occurs in living beings. It is a slow stepwise process, whereas this is a fast process. This combustion occurs at high temperature. It occurs at normal room temperature. So combustion, when we are talking about combustion, it is burning something, right? Energy is produced in the form of heat and light. So whenever there is combustion, whenever something is burning, heat and light both are given out. No heat or light is produced. Yes, a little bit of heat is produced, but it's not that visible. It is happening inside the body, inside the living organism. So no heat is given outside as no substantial amount of heat is given outside, no light is produced. Conversion to carbon dioxide and water occurs in one step. No enzymes are needed. No enzymes are involved because it is occurring in non-living things, right? Here, energy is released in steps catalyzed by enzymes. So, enzymes help to help this process to proceed. So, without enzymes, this process will not be able to occur because this is a biochemical process. Biochemical means something, a chemical process which is happening inside a living organism. Okay. In anaerobic respiration, less energy is produced. Give reasons to support your answer. So, what happens in anaerobic respiration? The food molecules, they are partially broken down, not fully broken down, because oxygen is not present. That is why less amount of energy is produced. When it is fully oxidized, then large amount of energy is produced. You remember 2 ATP of energy is generated in anaerobic respiration, whereas 38 ATP of energy per molecule is generated in aerobic respiration. Why do body cells require oxygen? Body cells need oxygen so that they can carry out cellular respiration, right? So, external respiration and cellular respiration or internal respiration. So, external respiration is simply breathing, whereas internal respiration or cellular respiration is where the food is broken down so that energy can be released, right? So that is where the actual thing is happening. Okay, so that will be the answer for it. Now, lungs are covered by a double layered membrane called as pleura or pleural membrane. Okay, so that is the answer to it. Now, given below is a diagram showing 3 kinds of blood vessels. Observe the diagram and answer the question. So, 3 types of blood vessels that we see over here are arteries, veins and the capillaries in between. Write 2 differences between arteries and veins. So, I have given you several differences. You can mention any 2 of them. First and foremost, they carry blood away from the heart. Veins bring blood to the heart. They are usually deep seated. So, it's not very easy to feel the arteries. They are seated deep inside the muscles, closer to the surface. Veins you can easily see at the back of your hand and on your many a times on your legs. So they are closer to the surface. Valves are absent because in arteries the blood is flowing generally in downward direction. So they are moving towards the gravity or along with the gravity. So it's perfectly fine. But in veins, valves are present to prevent, you remember one question that we did, valves prevent the backflow of blood. They help the blood to move only in one direction. And when the veins are bringing the blood from the lower part of our body towards the heart, there valves are needed. Thick elastic walls, because in arteries you will find that blood is flowing with a greater force, right? So greater force can be seen. Greater force is seen in the blood flowing through arteries, whereas in veins they have thin walls because the blood pressure is low. The blood is flowing with a lesser force. They carry oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery, and they generally carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. Blood flows with jerks under high pressure. What I was talking about, blood flows smoothly under low pressure. So the pressure is pretty low over here. State the function of capillaries. So what is the function of capillaries? Capillaries help in the exchange of nutrients, respiratory gases, waste products in the body. So capillaries are present in each and every cell. So you can see over here that the capillaries, they are the connection between the arteries and the veins. So the veins are here. Sorry, my pen is conking out. The veins are here and the arteries are here. So it is the connection between the arteries and the veins. So whatever exchange is taking place, so the capillaries, they help in that exchange. Differentiate between pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. We just talked about that. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs. Now remember, arteries, they carry oxygenated blood. Only the pulmonary artery, because it is taking the blood for oxygenation, so it is carrying the deoxygenated blood. So why is it still called an artery? Because it is carrying the blood from the heart to the lungs. And pulmonary vein is bringing oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left auricle. It is bringing oxygenated blood to the heart. That is why it is called as a vein. And pulmonary vein because it originates in the lungs, right? Now let us take up the next question. Dash brings impure blood from all the parts of the body and empty into right auricle, that is vena cava. So there are two vena cavas, superior and inferior, one from the lower part, one from the upper part of the body, but these major veins are called as vena cava. Dash is the largest artery, we know that it is aorta. Why do people with blood group O are called as universal donors? Okay, so people with blood group O do not have any antigens, right? Remember when we were talking about antibodies? So they are there to fight against antigens, and since blood group O does not have any antigens, they can donate blood to any other group because it does not matter what blood group is taking their blood, because there is no antigen. So लड़ाई करने के लिए कोई दुश्मन नहीं है. Okay. That is why they are called as universal donors. That means they can donate blood to any other group. Anyone can take blood from O blood group people. Pulse. What is pulse? This is the throbbing of arteries due to the movement of blood in them. So when the arteries, they throb, then we can feel the pulse. And you know that in the wrist we can easily feel the pulse, or at the side of our neck. So there the arteries are slightly superficial so that we can feel them. Blood pressure. What is the blood pressure? Pressure exerted by the blood on the walls of arteries, right? So arteries के wall के ऊपर कितना pressure exert कर रहे हैं, that is called as blood pressure. What is the function of blood platelets? Blood platelets help in clotting of blood. Okay, so we know the constituents of blood, RBC, WBC and platelets, they help in clotting of blood. So whenever you have an injury and the blood is flowing out, after a while the blood clots. That is due to these platelets. State 1 function of blood. So I have put a lot of functions over here, so you can choose any one. The question says state 1 function. So it carries or transports food and oxygen to each and every cell. That is one important function. Then it carries waste products to excretory organs. That is another function. Then it protects the body against infections because it has WBCs by destroying germs. It helps in blood clotting because it has blood platelets, and that's how excessive blood loss is prevented. And it also regulates the body temperature. So out of these several functions, you can mention any of the functions. Now let us move to the next question. How do camels live without food and water for many days? So camels have hump that stores fat. Let me change the color of the pen now so that it is easier to distinguish. so they store fat, and as a result of which they can use the food over there. They sweat and urinate less, so they are losing less and less water. We lose a lot of water through sweat and urine, so they sweat and urinate very less, so that is how they are able to save on their water. Write two adaptations of aerial animals. Aerial animals means animals that live in air or that can fly in air. So first and foremost, forelimbs, they change into wings. That helps them to fly. Presence of pneumatic bones. Pneumatic bones. Remember we talked about hollow bones, right? So these bones are hollow. They have air sacs inside them, which makes their body light. Their body is streamlined so that they can fly easily through air, and the air offers least resistance. Presence of feathers, that helps them to keep warm. Lungs are provided with air sacs. So again, it makes the lungs light, it makes the body light so that they can fly easily. Right? How do frogs breathe on land and in water? So when they are on land, they use lungs, and when they are in water, they breathe through their moist skin. Okay, so the skin becomes like their respiratory organ. State two functions of stem in cactus. So the cactus stem is specifically modified. If you have a cactus at home, just observe it and you will be able to understand it better. So state two functions of stem in cactus. First and foremost, stem is spongy to store water. तो thick stem होती है cactus की, right? It is green. It carries out photosynthesis. It prevents water loss due to thick waxy coating. It has a thick waxy coating on its surface so that there is very less transpiration. Why do plants growing in mountains are cone shaped and have sloping branches? So that the snow and the rainwater can slide off easily, right? When they are sloping, cone shaped, the water and the snow, it will slide off easily. Otherwise पेड़ के ऊपर जमा हो जाएगा और बहुत भारी हो जाएगा और उसको लीव्स को डैमेज कर देगा. Why do aquatic plants have waxy coatings on their leaves? Aquatic plants में भी waxy coating. यहाँ हमने देखा stem में होती है waxy coating. यहाँ पर aquatic plants में क्यों है? To make them water resistant. पानी में रहते हैं वो सारे समय, तो wax की वजह से वो पानी जो है वो उनको सड़ाता नहीं. It prevents their decay. Right? So the question over here was what are parasitic plants? So parasitic plants is the last question था. Parasitic plants grow on other trees to absorb nutrients from the host plant. किससे? Hostoria. Remember this term is again parasitic roots. वो उस tree के अंदर डाल के वो roots घुसा देते हैं उसके अंदर और उनसे सारा nutrition जो है वो ले लेते हैं. Okay. Now let us come to the last segment. So draw a label diagram showing different kinds of teeth. The diagram is already given in your textbook. I am sure you have practiced that. Write two differences between temporary teeth and permanent teeth. So temporary teeth is the first set of teeth in a baby. So babies, the first teeth that comes in a child or a baby, that is the temporary teeth. It falls off, that is why it is called as temporary teeth or milk teeth. Now permanent teeth, when the milk teeth fall off, they are replaced by a new set of teeth, which are the permanent teeth. Now they will remain forever, they do not fall off then. How many are there? Temporary teeth are 20 in total, so 10 in each jaw, whereas permanent teeth are 36 in number, so they are 16 in each jaw. What is the function of canines? So you know the type of teeth. Incisors are for biting, canines are for tearing the food. So you see animals, the flesh eating animals, they have like pointed canines, right? So side वाले जो दांत लंबे लंबे pointed जो होते हैं carnivores में, वो those are canines. What is the role of hydrochloric acid in digestion? So क्या है? First and foremost वो acid है, तो it kills the germs which may be present in food, and its presence खाली HCl है, उसी वजह से बहुत सारी digestive enzymes activate हो जाते हैं. Name the enzyme that helps to digest milk protein. That is renin. Oh, sorry. Where does digestion of protein begin? Digestion of protein begins in the stomach. Okay. So stomach में शुरू होता है digestion. उसके पहले नहीं होता proteins का digestion. And renin is the enzyme that helps to digest milk protein. Riya and Mary were discussing that esophagus is not required by the digestive system and does not play any role in the digestion of food. इसमें तो कोई enzymes नहीं होती, कुछ नहीं होता. So do you agree with them? Why or why not? Justify your answer. So no, we do not agree with them, because the esophagus, even though it does not participate in the digestion of the food, but it has a very important role. It helps in pushing the food into stomach. पेरिस्टालसिस का प्रोसेस जो है वो ईसोफेगस में ही होता है, तो स्टमक तक फूड पहुंचेगा कैसे? मुंह से जब जा रहा है, तो माउथ टू स्टमक ईसोफेगस इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. So that's that for the exam solutions. I hope that you got all the answers. Thank you so much for watching.